Good evening to you.
These guys are all big influences on me and certainly house music.
No, that does not sound like
walk around with that collar popped up.
Yeah.
Hey, do this.
Yeah.
You go
So,
there.
Yeah.
so let's go on that. I want to talk a little bit about each of your illustrious careers, because you guys have done a lot. All three of you have done amazing, have had amazing contributions to what we call house music. This is the Vintage House Show. And so part of what that is about is celebration and preservation. This is Lauren's framing, but the celebration and preservation of Chicago house legends and Chicago house music. And I think
Hey, it is your main man, Mega. I'm back with you for another episode of the Vintage House Show, the premier talk and music show documenting the history and the business of house music. We are normally broadcast on WNUR 89.3 FM, WNUR.org. And of course, we're still observing the safety and security associated with keeping everyone from catching the virus known as COVID-19. So we're broadcasting from home, but not for long. Soon we'll be back in studio, according to our producer. The studio. Can't wait to get back there at some point soon. I am proud to be one of the co-hosts of the premier on-air radio show and podcast dedicated to illuminating and preserving the lives, music careers, and history of house music pioneers. We're powered by the Modern Dance Music Research and Archiving Foundation, which is the only repository in the United States dedicated solely to the study, the preservation, and the celebration of the genres of house and dance music. Our mission, in short, is to preserve the memories, the memorabilia, and the narratives of the people that support and sustain the genre of house music. And tonight, I'm honored to be joined by an incredible artist, a songwriter, a label executive, and a woman of power, because of course it is still Women's History Month. And I'd love for you all to help welcome our special guest tonight, the one and only, the acclaimed Sheree Hicks. How are you, Sheree?
Hey, I am doing well. How are you?
I'm good. You are a sight for sore eyes. It's really great to have you.
Pleasure to be with you.
What do you think about Women's History Month? How's March been treating you?
Okay, you were frozen for a second. I can see you now.
All right, I'm here with you. How has March been treating you so far?
So far, so good. No complaints. just, you know, starting to feel a little warm outside in Chicago, and, you know, people are getting a little antsy, and, you know, that's to be expected because we've been in the house for so long and not doing much, and it's starting to feel a little good outside, and it's making me want to get out a little bit.
Absolutely. We are all feeling that cabin fever, and
Right.
the weather is starting to break, as you shared, and so we will get past this cabin fever and be able to get back outdoors. And for you, perhaps performing again, or have you been performing during these COVID restriction days?
You know what? Since COVID happened, I've done 2 virtual performances. When it first happened, I had a performance that was supposed to happen in April in New Jersey. So we had to cancel it, of course. Virtual ones, it just feels different for me. I'm not really comfortable with it because I like, you know, being in front of people. So
Yes.
it's a little different, but I've done 2 of them throughout this past year.
Very good. I'm hoping that you'll be able to do a lot more as people continue to get vaccinated, as we move towards
Right.
getting well again, you know, as a world. And certainly house music is a healing force in this world. But it wasn't always where you were involved in music, right? When you got started, could you share a little bit about where you're from originally, and what were some of your early beginnings of music?
Okay, yeah. So I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. That's where majority of my family is. Moved to Chicago when I was about 5 years old. And as I got older and out of high school, I ended up moving to California with a female trio back in the 90s. And we lived in California for some years, lived in New York for some years, had a deal on Def Jam through Russell Simmons when he was over it. And we also had another deal on Universal when Gene Riggins was over it. Um, Fast forward, by the time the project was about to come out on Universal, that's when the digital world started. And before we could release the album, it was already on the streets. And so it was kind of like downhill with music as it related to digital, the digital world. So I, you know, been a part of music as far as being in the group and writing by myself. So I kind of started doing my own thing, each one of us, me and the other girls in the group. And I continued writing. I made a lot of friendships and relationships with people. The whole 90s Uptown circuit, was doing a lot of backgrounds and stuff on different uh, projects and writing for people. Was on a Heavy D album, on a Black Street album. This young lady named Terry Dexter on a Spike Lee soundtrack. Went to Japan with the CNC Music Factory group right when David Cole passed away, because we did a tribute song to him called "I'll Always Be Around." The video came out; it was on the box when the box was out, and all of that stuff. So I've been a part of music for about 30 years now.
That's an incredible career. And I mean, of course, you rattled it off as if, oh, you know, it was just my past, my history. But not many
15 years.
Well, but not many guests that we've had on this show can talk about such an early and incredible journey, and one, frankly, that started in some of the you know, other genres of music that you've been involved with some certainly pop cultural icons. I mean, Heavy D, the Black Street, CNC Music Factory. That we don't take that lightly here. I just want you to know that it's an honor, certainly, to have someone with that rich history. And so you kind of also glossed over this important part of your musical history. When you first started, you were with this group. It was a trio, The group was called Ask Me.
Yes. How
Ask
do you know
Me.
that?
We do our research here. We are part of the Dance Music Research and Archiving Foundation, so we do the work.
That's
We
true.
do the
Yeah,
work.
that's right.
Can you break down? Because I know Ask Me was an acronym.
Yeah.
What does Ask Me mean?
Ask Me stood for April, Sheree, and Kira, moving everybody.
All right, so the origin
That's what it's
was
doing.
really about moving people with your music, moving them on the dance floor.
Music.
Yeah.
Right.
And do you still work with your partners from Ask Me on occasion, or?
Well, one of the young ladies passed away. The A in the group, her name was April. She was my best friend. So she passed away about 17 years ago now.
Okay.
The other young lady, Kira, we're in communication, and we've talked
Yes.
about getting together to, create something. It hasn't happened yet, but we'll get to it.
Well, rest in peace, April. We certainly invoke your memory tonight. We look forward to having Kira and you, when you get together, to come back to the Vintage House Show, perhaps together, and share, share some of that magic that you create again. And so let's fast forward a bit. You had this great early career, right, where you were contributing to a lot of R&B artists, New Jack Swing movement you were instrumental in. Can you talk about some of the roles that you had? Were you backup singing? Were you writing? What was the work that you were putting in then?
It was writing and backup singing, vocal arrangements. Like the Heavy D project, he had a song called I'll Do Anything. And I wrote the chorus to that, and the group, we sang the chorus to I'll Do Anything.
And what was that like working?
And it was like a spinoff of the Hall & Oates, I'll Do Anything. I'll do anything that you want to do.
I know it well. I'm just, I love when guests come on the show and they sing a few bars.
Incredible. I mean, back then the studios were huge. We were in so many studios, and there were
So Sheree, we're getting bits and pieces.
Major budgets, major everything. So we wanted for nothing.
And how did you?
It was just timing with the whole digital world. It kind of just changed everything.
So before digital changed the paradigm, how did you learn the business side?
Bits and pieces of what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when we moved to, that's a good question. When we moved to California, we lived in this complex called the Oakwood Apartments, right?
Yes.
The Oakwood Apartments was known for where talent would come to be scouted by labels. So it was nothing to be at the swimming pool at the Oakwood Apartments and somebody like Charlie Wilson is there, or Christopher Williams, or Keith Sweat and Silk and Alan Payne. These were all of the people that we kind of came up around and under. And we lived next door to Charlie Wilson. I will on ourselves. So a lot of it came from Charlie Wilson. And a lot of it also came from Christopher Williams. And he was the one who got us the deal on Def Jam. So we had, you know,
We're having just a little trouble with Sheree's internet, so please bear with us and stay tuned. And she's back with us now. So Sheree, we were hearing about the Oakwood Apartments and how many
can you hear me? Because I can see you, but I
can't. Yeah. We heard you describe the phenomenon that was the Oakwood Apartments and how you were mentored by the likes of Charlie Wilson and others.
Right. Yes.
So what was that like? Did you guys?
Did you hear what I said?
We heard some of it, bits and pieces of it. So part of what you shared with our audience was that you were all together in this complex where everyone who was hitting hard in the music industry were all coming together, and they were dropping knowledge and sharing the information very freely because you know it was a community. Is that right?
That's correct.
And so that's where you picked up a lot of knowledge about the business of songwriting and publishing,
right,
and the likes. Okay.
Yeah. And then I also said that that's how we got our first deal, was through Christopher Williams. He knew the A&R person at the time. Her name was Tracy, and Tracy put the group on a call with Russell Simmons, and we sang a cappella, and he asked her, what are you waiting on? Go ahead on and get them signed. So let's work on an album with them. So with us having a deal, Chris made sure that we were informed on the business part of music. And, you know, they just taught us a lot, and it's just stuck with me. And for anybody who's interested or has questions, other people younger than me or under me, I always, you know, share that knowledge.
It's incredibly important to share the knowledge, to educate people, because of course in the music industry there's been a long history of people getting taken advantage of. Yeah. So you know, everyone that we have on certainly comes to this show with a high level of integrity. So we appreciate hearing that about you as well. And, you know, I'm sure that this continues as you're a label executive. Talk about how you came to have your own imprint and what it's called.
Okay, so the label is called Chic Soul Music. And the person who encouraged and inspired me to do that was Josh Milan. I worked on a project with him. The first project me and Josh worked on was a Christmas song called Santa Baby, a remake of Eartha Kitt's Santa Baby. And from there, he kind of saw how I operated. And, you know, at the time, I would be asking different labels in the house music community to release a song. And, you know, sometimes they may be slow about doing it. And he like, you're too talented not to have your own label. I'm observing how you work, you know, how dedicated you are and how how really in tune you are with what you do and how you want to present yourself. Sheree, you can do this on your own. So it kind of started with him, and I got a little bit of knowledge from him and started doing the research, checking on the name to, see if it was available and all of that. So that's because of Josh Milan that Chic Soul Music is in existence, because he encouraged me to go out on my own and do my own thing.
So you made the transition from being a writer in the New Jack Swing era. You described that the onset of digital streaming and digital mechanical rights and all of these new elements that transform the music industry impacted what you were doing. What was the catalyst for you to move away from that genre and become a well-known, well, we'll call it what it is, legendary house artist?
I feel a little bit more comfortable with well-known.
Okay, we're dialing it down. I love the humility. We'll embrace the humble nature of Miss Sheree Hicks here.
Well, basically, after I kind of separated myself from the whole music as far as genre, as far as the R&B goes, I got married, had my daughters, was a at-home mom for a while until they were old enough to say if they didn't like something, to where I felt comfortable with them going to school. And what happened was that I ran into Sean Ali, which Sean and I hadn't seen each other in years. We knew each other when I was moving away to LA and New York. We were friends back then, and he would, come visit us, where we were. But when I came back to Chicago and we ran into each other again, he had reminded me that he was a DJ. And he's like, you from Chicago, why aren't you doing any type of house music? So I'm like, well, that's not really my style. That's, my R&B background. That's what I know. And I thought house music sounded different than what it was. So he introduced me to what soulful house music was. So he would let me hear artists like Nathan Adams and Mark Evans and Stephanie Cook and those type voices. So when I heard it, I'm like, if this is house music, I can do this all day long in my sleep. So let's get together. Let's come up with some music. Let me write to it. Let's see what it feels like. And that's pretty much how it started.
I love that process. And what's particularly exciting to me is the fact that what you might have known to be house music was probably in this realm of, maybe it had a 4 on the floor, maybe it had that, rhythmic piece, but it wasn't soulful until you were introduced specifically to what you now know to be soulful house music, or what is a genre of house music. But really, a lot of people equate that soulfulness to just house. Chicago people, they've been influenced by all sorts of soul artists. Mm-hmm. And really everything after that, are these other subgenres of house music. But really, soulful house is original house. Right,
exactly. So when he mentioned house music to me, I'm like, well, I don't sing like that. Like the first person that I thought of was Martha Wash. And she has like that powerhouse kind of sound. That's not my style. That's not my sound. Mine is a little bit more melodic, and I like to tell stories in my music, and for us to hear what the song is, is talking about, and really describing a situation or a moment. So it's different vibes and different feels to it. So when he introduced me to that sound, I'm like, that's me all day. Let's work. And that's how it started.
And give me the gentleman's name again, because
okay, it's Sean Ali, DJ Sean Ali. He produces DJ a lot of my records.
I hope you're listening, Sean Ali, because the work that you put in, look at what has happened. This is great. And also shout out to Josh
Otherwise, I
Milan.
would never have done a house music record.
See what this
Yeah.
this is a perfect example of real influence, right? Because people today claim, they're influencers because they got a little profile with about 10,000 followers on social media or something. But real influence is the outcome that we see in the career of a Sheree Hicks in the genre of house music. I was also giving props to Josh Milan. We've been trying to get him to join us as a guest on Vintage House Show. Hopefully that one day will happen. If he's watching, come on out, Josh. Join us here. And DJ Sean Ali. You get to pick who's got next, Sheree, by the way. So we'll get to that towards the end of the show. But we've got so much more to cover here because not only have you created your own imprint, but you've got other artists besides yourself that you're working with on your label. You want to talk a little bit about them? Okay, you're back.
I created the label for me to be the whole guinea pig with the whole process, to make sure that I wasn't involving somebody in something that wasn't going to be lucrative. So basically, yes, I started working with other artists, but when I first started Chic Soul Music, I use it as for me to be the guinea pig in it, just to see how everything flowed with it. And then once I got a couple releases under my belt, that's when I started to add other artists to it. So I used a young man by the name of Jaleel that's in his 20s, and his voice is so smooth. So a lot of times I'll do a collaboration with them first and then do a release with them.
All right, Sheree, we continue to have a bit of internet bandwidth issues with you. So maybe if you adjust your device, we can get you reconnected here because the story is so incredibly compelling. We are looking forward to hearing this next part of why and how you've been able to get the label up and going, creating the succession plan, if you will, which has been a theme for 2021 here on the Vintage House Show. How do we really sustain this genre, right? How do we keep it going? How do we keep feeding the fire that is house music? And Sheree is absolutely doing that with her Chic Soul music label. So hopefully she'll rejoin us here momentarily. But in the meantime, thank you everyone who's tuned in tonight to hear Sheree Hicks and her story of house music, her journey, her business acumen. This is a sharp sister who is not just an artist and a lovely face and performer. She is an empowered executive and businesswoman And she is joining us back again now to share the story from a first person perspective. You don't want to hear me tell it. Let's hear it from Sheree.
All right, so we're going back to working with other artists.
Yes.
Okay, so basically what I was saying was I started in it just to see how this would flow. So from there, I work with a young man by the name of Jaleel Meadows, who's about half my age, because I feel like we need between my age group and an age group that's about half my age, so that house music can continue, and to find young people who, you know, would just like that feel of music. So I would do a duet with an artist, and then I would do a song with them on their own, as well as Lester J from Chicago, who is a modern day Luther Vandross, in my opinion. His voice is so smooth and just, I love Lester. So I've done a couple things with him, and then also on him by himself. So that's kind of how I started. But I do somebody else is.
We heard you just up to the point where you were saying you added somebody else to the label. Jamal?
Yeah. Jaleel.
Jaleel.
Yeah, his name is Jaleel.
Yeah, so you were just sharing the story about Jaleel, and it prompted a question. What is the response when you talk to young people about house music? Because, you know, generally the stereotype is that all young people from the African American community are only into hip hop, but we know that not to be true.
Right, that's not true. So basically, I did for him what Sean Ali did for me, because he's an R&B singer also. So when he heard the different styles and the, you know, the melodic sounds of house music that I do, and I let him hear the other people that I love, he was all in. Like, yes, I love this. This is hot. So yeah, I just passed along what was passed along to me.
And what have you seen or experienced, again, sticking with this notion of young people and getting them into the genre, what do you see their experience to be on the dance floor, like in the clubs? How do they respond to house music in that environment?
They love it. Like, how can you not, when you hear this music, move? You can't just sit there and hear the 120 BPM. Like, you're gonna move. And then if the song is talking about something, or it has something catchy in it, you're gonna move. You can't be in a house music party and not move and love it.
That's right, and it goes back to your very origin with the Ask Me trio, right? You're moving everybody. That seems to be your mission, and
Right.
and one of the things that maybe those who follow you on social media also know, you're a fitness guru, right? So you know that how important it is for movement, for the human body to have to move. Talk a little bit about your fitness journey.
Yes, so that's something that I've gotten into a lot more than I used to, which I wish I would have started a little bit earlier, being more consistent the way I am now. But you know, when we talk about house music and soulful house, we know that this is a genre of people that's more seasoned. So we're not 19 and 20 years old. So well,
you're so diplomatic,
and I'm proud
of
it.
You're being diplomatic.
So anyway,
we're middle aged and beyond, right?
Right, exactly, right. So anyway, now that I'm getting older, my daughters are older, I want to lead a healthy life for them to see it. They need to see an example in order for them to do it early, like what I wish I would have done at their age or younger. I have a gymnast in my household, and my oldest daughter, she's into fitness as well. But I wish I would have been more into it at their age, more so than I am right now. So that's very important for me. And I post videos because someone sent me a message today. Sheree, you have no idea how much you've helped me get up off my butt and start moving again. Because this pandemic, all I've been doing is just sitting around eating and being depressed. And, when you move your body, you feel better.
I agree. I like to cycle. Very often, you'll find me on the lakefront with my crew,
Ooh,
hitting it
that's
hard,
nice.
trying to get in the miles. So I must say I've probably been guilty of being a little stationary though during these winter months, except for when that Peloton bike dropped on the doorstep. Then we can go year round.
Nice. That's awesome.
So you are an inspiration, and it is important to keep us moving. And talk to us a little bit about family life. You've mentioned your daughter several times.
Yeah.
Can we expect some of that musical DNA to flow?
You know what? Both my daughters have beautiful voices,
Mm.
and they could care less about it. They don't even. It's no big thing to them. They are happy to see what I'm doing, but they can hold a little note. Both of them can,
Yeah.
especially my
And
oldest daughter. But they're into other things though.
okay, and no pressure from mom, right? To get them in.
No
No.
pressure.
No. Well, but that's great that what you do have together is the importance around fitness and movement, and I love that, and I hope our audience, again, if you haven't seen the videos, take a look. What do they call it? Beast mode, right? You get into beast mode in those workouts very often. But
And
social
I have
media,
trainers, so they don't let me slide.
they no slack, right?
Right, they don't let me slide.
So social media, in addition to sharing your fitness journey, certainly helping to promote your music, social media isn't always friendly. In fact,
Right.
the trolls are out there and they're lurking, and they're just, the haters will hate.
Oh yes.
Recently, you encountered, just an abhorrent kind of troll and disgraceful commentary, but you handled it with eloquence as a professional, and just as a powerful person, someone who's empowered. Tell
Yes.
us a little bit about what happened there.
So basically, I follow Michael Baisden, and
Mm-hmm.
Michael Baisden posed a question about women being afraid to tell their age. So a lot of women were like, "I'm not afraid to tell my age. I'm 50 this, I'm 60 that, and I'm 60 this, that, and the other." So I posted a picture of myself and said, "We're not afraid. I'll be 49 in August." So everybody was like, "You look great, Sheree. I see what you do with your fitness and stuff like that. Congratulations. You're looking good. You sound good. Your vibes are positive and stuff like that." So about 15, 20 comments down, somebody said that I look like a 60-year-old man. So I didn't even have to say anything. Like everybody else just went in on the person, but I just trying to be diplomatic with it and keep my composure and just, let other people, they came to my defense. I didn't even have to say anything. So no big deal. But I figured I must be doing something right if I got a troll.
That's one way to look at it. See, I, I, I love that observation, and nothing could be further from the trolls, ill-fated commentary. But social media is something a lot of people hide behind, and again, you handled it well, and you haven't retreated from putting yourself out there. And again, I think it's inspiring others. You're getting the feedback firsthand, right, that you're helping people. How does that feel to you, to be able to not only inspire people with your music, but to inspire their esteem and well-being?
That's a really beautiful feeling. When a young lady reached out to me today, I think she's from New Jersey, and it just really made me feel good. Like, I'm doing something right. Somebody's paying attention and it's helping somebody. I try not to post every day, like maybe every 2 or 3 days of, different things that I'm doing, and somebody sees it. I mean, men and women, not just the women, but the men too. Like, Sheree, you were killing it. I saw the video that you did today, and I have trouble with the ab roller. But that's a really good feeling to inspire people, because it's people that inspire me too. So we just have to do that for each other. I may have a bad day where somebody may need to pick me up, and those days happen. So it's only right for me to. People have bad days anyway. So who am I to make somebody's bad day worse? So that's why I like to give out positive energy to people, because, a negative attitude could be the difference between somebody saving their own lives and taking their own lives. So, it's no need to be negative.
No question. Reggie Davenport says, haters will hate and they'll make you great. And and
Thanks,
so
Reggie.
the impact is definitely potent, and I'd like to thank you.
Thank you
for that. And I'm curious now, shifting gears. We've had a lot of great pioneers, icons, well-to-do contributors to house music. You've been working with a lot of them, a lot of the people that have been guests on the show, some that we're trying to get on the show, as we mentioned before. Josh Milan, come on, buddy. Talk about some of the Chicago producers and DJs that you've worked with, and some of what your favorite projects have been.
Yeah, so for the beginning of 2021, we were going through the pandemic, and that was my time to just get my pen and paper and just started expressing my thoughts and my feelings. And that was in 2020 when the pandemic hit. By the time 2021 came, that was my time to, me and one engineer safely get into the studio and start recording. So since December of last year, all the way up until now, there have been about maybe 6 or 7 releases from Chicago, because we just have history with each other. I trust them. They trust me. They listen to my thoughts on, what I like musically, outside of just me writing and singing. They really pay attention to my thoughts and sounds that I like. I've enjoyed working with Terry Hunter. We have a song out from years back called what was the name of it? I have so many songs, it's unreal. I can't even remember the name of it anymore. But he also did a remix to a song that I did with Dave Anthony. I worked with Stacey Kidd before. We did a couple of nice jams together. I think that's really about it from Chicago that I really work with. It has been Terry Hunter, Sean Ali, Monk Julius, and Stacey Kidd.
Well, I mean, come on, those are hit makers. So again, it's I like that.
Absolutely.
One of the core elements of you working with them, you called out, is trust, right? what is it that
Oh yeah.
demonstrates to you that someone is trustworthy, besides what you share, that they listen to your input, they listen to the inspiration that you have? What else really conjures up that trust that you're talking about?
You know what? I really pay attention and observe. I'm looking when you don't know I'm looking. I'm listening when you don't know I'm listening. I'm seeing how you operate with other people before I involve myself with you, because energy is everything. It could be the biggest producer in the world, but if the vibe is not right, I would work with somebody that I just have better energy with any day and feel comfortable with that. So I just pay attention and observe with how people operate with other people, and word of mouth is major. People always say, I don't care what anybody says about me or what anybody thinks about me. Yes, you do, because that can be damaging.
It absolutely does.
So I'm just
Reputation is key. And Reggie Davenport and Chip Davis both chimed in with some of what I'm assuming are favorite songs of theirs, and the names and titles of songs that you work with some of the Chicago DJs and producers. Let Love Enter with Stacy Kidd, and Love War with Terry Hunter.
okay.
Yeah.
Let
So
love, yes. I write so many songs that it's so many in my head.
know that both are great guys that I call friend, and it just so happens that those happen to be two of my favorite songs that you've performed, Love War and Let
Wow.
Love Enter, and I have the video to prove it with the interviews of them both. Let Love Enter with Stacy Kidd, and Love War with
Wow.
Terry Hunter. Uh, so
Right.
what I would love to do is, you've got a great set of creative people that you've worked with in Chicago. Want to talk about beyond Chicago and how you got connected with some of the other DJs and producers you've worked with, like DJ Pope out of the DC area. There's just a host of folks. Any come to mind, Sheree, that maybe our current projects
Yeah.
since you've come out of the pandemic that you'd like to share?
Pope reached out to me on social. Yes. Called Official. That's really major to me right now. I even did a video for it that people really like. A music video. So that's a pretty good one. I have a song called Thinking of You with Cafe 432. Those guys are from the UK. I actually went to the UK and did a performance out there and got a recording in with them, and I got a recording in with Nathan Adams, which was my dream collaboration because he's amazing. That's kind of current. A song called You Can't Keep Running with Ian Friday, Sean Ali, and Monk Julius. I did a song called We Are One Family with Brother Basil and Kelvin Sylvester. I Found Love with Damon Ramsey out of Baltimore. Pope was one of the first ones from a different state that I work with, and the song was called "Keeping My Composure," and that was the first ever song on my own label that came out. Was "Keeping My Composure" with Pope. So that's a very special project. After a couple more years, we'll do something special with that in the future too. But I mean, I work with a lot of people now because all I do is write. that's my main thing. I love writing.
So you, again, you just rattled down that list of giants like it was, you know, it was everyday stuff. Very impressive list. Very impressive creativity in the music that you've been bringing to us. It also prompted the question. You said you had one of those dream collaborators in your list. If you could, you know, have a collaboration with someone you haven't worked with yet, who would that be and why? And so, Sheree, if you had a chance to pick a collaboration that you have not yet had yet, who would that be with and why?
That would be Stephanie Cook, which we've talked about it. Love her spirit. I love Stephanie. So that would be the dream collaboration that I would like to have with her one day.
Stephanie Cook, if you are tuned in, well, obviously you guys have already had the conversation.
Can you hear me?
But I can hear you. I heard Stephanie Cook, and we were giving her a shout out. Even though you two have already had the conversation, we were saying, you know, if she's watching tonight, you know, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen, Stephanie. So joining us tonight, other great producers and DJs that I'm sure would also love to work with you. DJ Lil John Coleman.
That's my girl, I love her.
DJ Lil John, what's up? My little brother. Louis Green, the icon that we know him to be here on the Vintage House Show. Reggie Davenport says Mark Grant and Sheree Hicks. That should happen. Mark Grant, shout out. So thanks, John Young for tuning in. Tanya, Chip Davis, all of these Sheree Hicks fans. Where y'all been? Sheree, you're gonna have to come on the show more often.
Okay.
So we have a tradition, and we have a tradition on the episodes of the Vintage House Show that I host. It's about music and philosophy, and really just life and philosophy together, because we know the two are so intertwined. You talk a lot about your writing and that you like to write about stories, narratives. You like to tell stories. Did I hear that right? Yeah. So I want to ask you a philosophical question, of which there is no right or wrong answer ever. We just ask to get some deeper perspective about our guest. I'm gonna ask you a philosophical question now as we approach the end of the hour. And again, there's no real right or wrong answer, but I'm hoping, that you can, share the Sheree Hicks philosophy about this. So the question for you is this: as you go to sleep at night, sometimes you may have a lot on your mind, I mean, you're a writer, so you're, I'm sure creative process is always moving forward. What do you think is the reason that we dream? And if you were to share a dream about your music career, what would that dream look like?
Right.
So you got a two-parter. Why do you think we dream? And then what is the biggest dream you have for your musical career?
Oh my goodness.
You got this, Sheree. You got this.
Why do we dream?
Yes. In your opinion, of course.
Okay, I think we dream because so if we're thinking about what's next, that's in our subconscious mind, and we go to because we're thinking about it all day.
Look out
And
now.
as far as my dream for my music is to be a bit more known commercially, because my songs are like R&B songs to 120 or higher BPMs. It's the same thing. It's the same writing. So just to expand that audience would be the dream for me.
I love it. And for those who can help Sheree achieve that dream that are listening, you know, like music, radio program directors, DJs of genres beyond house music, radio and remix DJs. Let's make that happen for Sheree, because she is a powerhouse talent. And I love your thoughtfulness.
Thank you.
In the response that you provided. It really, you know, shows who you are as an artist and a person. So I want to salute you because it is Women's History Month. And thank you, of course, for being on the show. We're going to be joined in a moment with our Vintage House Spotlight team. This is our effort to help create that next generation of house pioneers, house icons. All month long, we've had DJs that have been playing from a group, and I'll let them tell about it. I don't want to steal their thunder, but I do want you to, you know, stick around, enjoy the show. We've certainly enjoyed having you. I also want to take a moment because this is the first time I've been back to Vintage House in the month of March, and just wanted to dedicate a moment of silence in respect to my sister, who passed on and got her wings during the month of March.
Okay.
So if you would join me, Sheree, and our audience in a moment of silence for Kelly McFall, my sister. May she rest in heavenly peace. Well, thank you for that. And thank you for an incredible interview. We must have you back. I want to hear more about your process for songwriting. And I'm sure our audience wants to learn more about that magic as well. Happy Women's History Month. You're a woman empowered. And thank you for being on the Vintage House Show.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And joining.
Honor.
Thank you. Joining us, Sheree, Vintage House co-host Justin Alexander. What's up, Justin?
Hey,
Hey,
everybody.
Justin.
Hey, welcome in again on another Wednesday night to the Vintage House Show and the After Show Spotlight.
And you got Mo Mommy. How are you, Mo Mommy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I appreciate it's good to see you. I appreciate the comments rolling in right now from everyone sending their prayers and condolences. But we're lifted up by what is a spiritual thing, house music.
Yes.
And so I'm looking forward to hearing about who's in the spotlight tonight.
Yes, we're going to have Mo Mommy take away and introduce our special
Yes. So, as you know, I'm Momami with the collective Babes Only. We are a women's empowerment organization and just a collective of artists. And all month long, we've been providing younger house DJs making waves in the house scene. I kicked off the month with my house set. We had Jillian X, DJ Cash Era, and today, all the way from London, we have DJ Samira, who I'm super excited to hear how, her interpretation of house, her global sound. It's really beautiful to see how something that started right here in our neighborhood made its way all the way across the world. So I'm so excited to hear what she has.
Yes. So shout out to Babes Only Fun and their collaboration with us, celebrating Women's History Month this entire month long. It's been a great month, and I'm just I don't know what the
you're just vibing.
Yes, the next spotlight guest for the month of April. Y'all have something to follow behind because they have been bringing heat all month long, literally all month long. It's been such enjoyable parties every Wednesday night. So the show is going to continue to go on.
We appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Yes.
So how can we direct our audience from Vintage House Show over to the Vintage House Spotlight?
Right at twitch.tv/The Vintage House Show. So let's see if I can put it in here so you can pin it first, Kevin.
Our Vintage House Spotlight team. This is our effort.
Yes, if you head on Twitch, you don't need the app. You can do it from your laptop.
Yes.
You can download the app. That's the easiest way to stream it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So either the app or right there below me, twitch.tv, The Vintage House Show. And just tune right in right after this. You can have the browser up now or the app and just go to the Vintage House Show page and our stream will be right ready to go.
Once again, I'd like to give hugs virtually and high fives to our guest tonight, Sheree Hicks. Big applause, big ups.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Hashtag blessed and honored to have you. So thanks again all for those who were able to tune in and for who will watch this show on demand. We are the Vintage House Show, the best show on the business and the history of house music and the pioneers and icons that have made it such. Tune in to us every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. We'll be back on WNUR 89.3 FM soon enough. And stay tuned for those details. Love everyone. Take care of yourselves and stay well.
Yes. Peace.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.